Yeah, really excited to be able to share with you a bit about my story and the work that I did with Janine, and really how she supported me in helping me to find work that I love to do that's in a completely different industry to what I had been doing for many years. Yeah, so before joining the Career Clarity Academy, the role that I had been doing as Learning and Development Manager was coming to an end. And one day I was chatting with a colleague of mine who had returned from maternity leave at roughly the same time that I did. We had our babies like literally a few weeks apart. And she told me about an exciting new job opportunity that she was going for. So a role that she had accepted at another company. And it kind of got the cogs turning for me. And I guess I was really proud of her in terms of her courage to really step outside of her comfort zone so soon after coming back to work from maternity leave and taking on a role to help advance her career and move forward. And it really just inspired me to think about what was next for me. The work that I was doing, I absolutely loved, but as I said, it was coming to an end. And for me also as well, I wanted to find work that would help me achieve better work-life integration so that I could, spend some more time with family and just overall holistically have a kind of happy balance between work and life. So a few days later, after this chat with this colleague, she shared with me a video of yours, Janine, on LinkedIn, where you were talking about career change and how people generally tend to feel when they're approaching career change or even thinking about it. And honestly, it was like you were talking directly to me. All of the things that you were saying about all of the fears and worries that you might have about it. And it really kind of made me think, I want to follow this lady. I want to hear more about what she has to say in terms of how you can overcome some of those fears and challenges. So I really wanted to gain some kind of practical skills to enable me to just not feel so lost in terms of where to begin, because the company I had worked for, I'd been there for 11 years. And, when you're in a place for a really long time, it can feel really daunting thinking about going somewhere else or potentially doing something else. So, yeah, I really wanted to kind of work with somebody and hear from somebody that really knew how I was feeling and give me some tips on how to move forward, really.
What were some of the feelings that you had around the actual career change? So you watched the videos and you were like, okay, I'm inspired by my friend, but what feelings were coming up for you in terms of actually moving into a different direction and changing careers from what you've been doing for like 11 years?
Yeah, I think there was lots of different feelings, but some of the ones that were kind of, really prominent were feeling like I didn't know where to begin, feeling stuck, didn't know how to kind of approach this career change. And also as well, one of the other things that I had to consider was the fact that there weren't many roles in the industry that I was in the area that I'm living in. So I really had to think differently because, as I said, I wanted better work-life integration. I didn't want to have a super long commute. And so for me, it was about thinking, well, what else could I do? I started scouring job boards. I started looking at, adverts, going down to the person specification, thinking, could I do this? Looking at what you would have to have kind of as a minimum in terms of skills or education. And I really felt like, well, if I hadn't already been doing that kind of a role and I didn't have the education to kind of go with that role, then there'd be no way that I'd be able to even get past the, application stage. And that was really compounded by the fact that actually I was sending out applications to some roles and I wasn't hearing anything back. So it just kind of felt like, if I didn't have that previous experience or have education within that area, that I wouldn't be able to kind of move forward. And I just didn't really know how I was going to break the cycle. It just felt really frustrating, actually. I was just thinking, where am I going wrong? How can I approach this differently?
Mm-hmm. And so for you, what did change in terms of your approach?
Well, the biggest shift was joining the Career Clarity Academy, I have to say. When joining the program, I was seeing and hearing also from other people who were in the same position as me. And, there were really amazing people on the program in roles that I really respected, and it just kind of really opened my eyes that actually it doesn't really matter what you're doing in terms of your role or where you are. You know, feeling that you might want to change or wanting some clarity, it doesn't discriminate, right? It can be across any kind of industry or any kind of role. And so it was a bit of a reality check for me to kind of say, you're not the only person that feels this way. So, you know, I think that was one of the main benefits of being able to kind of join the program and be part of a group, so that you can hear from others as well, and you can kind of think, well, it's not just me, it's okay. So I guess, you know, another thing that I would say that I loved about the program was that it was super structured as well. So all of the lessons that we did, all of the coaching calls that we had really helped me to focus on one particular area at a time. So it was very kind of, you know, you weren't just kind of throwing loads of stuff at us. It was very structured and felt like it kind of had a journey. You're kind of taking us from the beginning, finding out what motivates us, what, you know, we really enjoy, why we wanted the career change as well. So all of those things really kind of just helped me to shift my thinking in terms of, you know, how I approach the career change. One of the main things that I did differently that you encouraged us to do was think about our transferable skills. So rather than focusing on, you know, minimum experience or education required, I was really looking at job specifications and kind of what the role actually entailed and trying to link it back to what I had done previously in my career.
One of the biggest challenges that people perceive is, well, I haven't done that before. I haven't worked in that way before. I don't have the experience that other people might have. And so just hearing you say that, like, I didn't actually have the background in this particular industry, but I did have the skills that were relevant to the role. And if you can package it in the right way, then the person reading it can see how it will apply to the role that you're going in. So you had two offers, right? And you made a choice as to which one you would go with.
Yeah, I kind of felt quite, you know, first of all, grateful to have two opportunities to be able to choose from. But for me, it was really about looking at things in a holistic way. So one thing that you did encourage us to do is not just to focus on things, you know, in isolation or one thing. It's about looking at a broader view of, well, you know, how is this going to fit in with, you know, my work-life integration that I wanted, and, you know, not having a super long commute. So, you know, it kind of helped me to zero in exactly which opportunity was right for me at this moment in time. If you feel like you need a shift and a change, it's one of those kind of programs that really helps you to, it puts you in the driving seat essentially, because obviously we have the support from you, we have the lessons that we were going through week on week in group coaching calls, but as you said, it really starts with you and the commitment with you. And I think it's applicable to anyone who is feeling like they want to explore their options. And one thing that I'd like to touch on is, I remember you telling us on one of the coaching calls about a client that you'd worked with that was looking for clarity, not necessarily career change, but she was kind of feeling like she needed some clarity on what she was doing. And she did some work with you, and that work then meant that she realized that actually she loved the job that she was doing, but maybe she just needed to make a change in terms of where she was working, her environment, taking on a new challenge. So it's not always about discovering, okay, I'm doing this at the beginning of the program and by the end I'm going to be doing something completely different. You might go through it and realize that actually you love what you do, but you just need to make some slight changes and tweaks to really kind of get you to feel that you're really, you know, excited about work every day, you're loving the work that you can do. And